So in this video, we have to explain how the microservice architecture work for our project like payment integration system, how the microservices works for payment integration system. For that, I made a content for creating the demo video. So first of all, you have to understand what is the microservice architecture that we have follow to build our payment integration system. Microservices is nothing but we know that microservices like componentization via services via service. What is componentization means? We have to like there are componentization means there are services. Suppose we have to build a full payment integration system. So if we divide that payment integration systems similar types of services into separate component, then that is known as componentization by service. And uh, and the componentization is happens according to the business and functional requirements. Like if there are 50 number of requirements we have to build. So suppose 10 suppose we are grouping the services like suppose we found that 10 services are similar, providing 10 modules are providing similar types of functions or similar types of services. So we have to take that 10 modules in one service and we have to build that service. According to that, we have to build 50 modules according to their similarity. We have to build the services, and it's based upon business and functional requirements. It's based upon totally business domains, like similarly and closely related functionality. W- you put them together We have to put them together as one service, and in future more functionality of this nature will follow. Like this we have to follow this type of architecture to build our componentization via services like microservices. In our payment in what we have done, we are going to do the payment integration system like Stripe integration. In that suppose we assume that three microservices we are assuming right now, that payment validation services. And in payment validation service, suppose in payment validation service, I made a full architecture of that. Suppose in payment validation service, and in payment validation service we have to perform the services like all validation logic of the payment. All validation logic of the payment we have to create inside the payment validation service. And all the suppose whenever client clicks on the pay button in e-commerce site, in the client side or in the browser, for that payment, all the validation, all the control whenever user clicks on that pay now button, the endpoints which are called by that pay now button are validated in that payment validation services. So all the validation logic we have to mention in that payment validation service. After the payment validation service, in microservice architecture, for each services there is separate database is associated with that service. So that service is only aware of aware of that database, and another services are not aware of the database. If one service wants to communicate with the another service database, then one that service has to be call with the help of REST API for the another service. Then in this process the microservices architecture will work. And right now we see that payment validation services how it will work. After that, payment processing services, whenever validation is happens, after that the payment processing will happen. We have to like the core payment services, core payment processes, payment status processes like customer click Stripe to make payment, validation successful, validated or failed. That validation successful and failed will be performed here, validation in payment validation service. And after that, if it is successful, then Stripe is initiated and the Stripe responded back. We'll understand what will happen here. Okay, come to this figure here. Whenever the user or client clicks on the buy now button, Then a API call is happens to the this payment validation service. After that, the payment validation service, after the successful payment validation service, after the validation is successful, then the request sent to the payment processing service. The request is sent to the processing service. Then this payment processing service processes some code, and after that it will send the request to the Stripe integration service. And in Stripe integration service, it will create a here there are three, mainly there are three parties working here, like it is a Stripe payment system. It is a payment system that in their system they have written the code that should accept the payment and confirming the payment like this. So for that, whenever the request is coming to Stripe integration service, then the checkout session is created. Like we have to go through the documentation of Stripe, then you will clearly understand the docs.stripe.com. Get started with payments. Checkout, how checkout works. It's hosted by this is the diagram of how the checkout processes works. This is a sequence diagram how the checkout processes work. Like first of all, when client said order information, it will go to the server, and in that Stripe, in, here in Stripe integration service, the checkout session will be invoked. The checkout session API will be invoked. That API was provided by Stripe payment system to call to create the checkout session. So in Stripe integration service, microservice, the Stripe integration service, the checkout session endpoint or the checkout session API will be called. Uh, then then the create checkout session API will be called, and it will go to the Stripe API. Stripe API is nothing. Stripe API is built by the Stripe team. We are not worrying about the Stripe API. So create checkout session call will be happen to Stripe API, and Stripe API processes that call, and it will send back a return checkout session. It will send back a return checkout session, like how it will work. We are we can see through Postman. We can test how it will work. Okay. No. New collection here. No. New collection. Client yeah. Here I get the endpoints. I get the endpoints from the Stripe API documentation. I get the endpoints for the checkout session, for creating the checkout session, and I created a new collection and import their session commands. Import their what are mentioned in the documentation. You have to go there and have to find out their the endpoint the checkout session endpoint, create checkout session endpoint. We have to get it and test through Postman how it will work. For that we have to search payments APIs keys. Okay, test mode. No, checkout. Have to check the checkout how it will work. Let's search the session. Checkout tax rate. No. Tax or billing payments. No, it's it's not so. Actually, you have to go through that. How it will work. Web elements. No, no. Where is gonna build a command integration system? Where is the session? No. Set of stripe. No, no, no. Checkout. In the checkout, we have to find out the create payment link. Okay. No, 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 no. Okay, okay. Customize checkout. Customize checkout. Stapler ending. No. You have to find out where the checkout session object will be the session resource. Migrate payment. No. Checkout works. From Stripe hosted page. Sequence. Oh no. Where it is gone? Session. Sorry. Okay, no. How to create checkout session. Accept payment guide. No. Stripe hosted page setup server. No. Stripe dashboard. Checkout session API. Yes. Checkout session API. Hmm. Hmm. No, no, no. Okay. The session object. We get the session object. Checkout. No. Stripe payment. Checkout. Explore Stripe checkout. No. You have to get the endpoint. Links, customer payment interface subscription. Check out the session object ID. Links, check out payment links. Yes, recording is on. Links. Okay. Open upon. Check out our payment links. Create a session. Here we can create a session. Here we got the endpoint by which we can create a session. It is the endpoint by which you can create a session. Suppose you will have to copy the endpoints and actually this is the endpoint, this is the URL or this is the endpoint which is used to create a session for to call the which one to call the where is the sequence diagram? Okay, where is the sequence diagram? It's gone. Uh, hmm. create the checkout session or create the checkout session means we have to call the API that is provided by Stripe API. That API is nothing but this link. This link. This link we have to call to create a session to the Stripe API. That API is provided by the Stripe. Here in the documentation also they mention that you have to call that this API to create the checkout session. So for that we have to copy the checkout session, and after that we have to put here like sorry it's an idea I have to put in the postman like you can create a new collection, blank collection, new collection. Okay, okay. Can name it as practice one, and in that collection, suppose import in that collection, import this URL. So we are request to start working. Practice 100 request import. Sorry. Okay. So for that, you have to implement that endpoints in the to check the endpoints is working properly or not. So I have to modify some things here, like before I created that. So you have to get the reference from here, like basic auth. I have to make the basic auth practice. Okay, new collection get practice. Okay. Here we have imported the thing, new collection, get practice by taking reference of authorization should be basic auth, and authorization here should be basic auth, and headers. We have to uncheck those two postman token and authorization. Let's check it's unchecked in here or not. Postman, but we have to add one more thing: content type. Content type we have to add. What will be the content type like? Content type like this. It the prerequisites are already mentioned in the Stripe API. It's already mentioned in the Stripe API. You have to read all the things, and all the things are mentioned here. You have to read all the things and implement according to that things. So first of all, you have to where content type. Okay, copy that content type and paste content type value here and just save it. Okay, just save it. Yeah, it did not get it pushed. So here in body part we have to make changes, something like in body nothing is there to implement all the things. No, I think first step here we have to work here. There is content type is already mentioned. Here we have to import this file here. Import the endpoints here. I just cut these things. Otherwise it will create a mess. Cut. Just cut. Just cut the things. Delete. Okay. So here we created a checkout session. It is I created this checkout session before, so I take the reference of this checkout session. You can take reference from the Stripe API documentation. You can easily get it, or you can use ChatGPT. So in headers, to check that it will work or not. What are the timings? Check 20 minutes is on. So that take the reference. And so many open boards are there, so it will create confusion. Uh, it is the needed one what we have imported right now. So you have to cut these things, save changes. Okay, save request. No, cancel. Okay, not save. Then get an okay, forget about these things. We have to concentrate on these things. Okay, the content type is already mentioned, and in body part we have to mention some things. In body part we have to mention some things that mention some things line items 3 quantity as it already mentioned. Checkout session. What is that? What is that? It is all the same. What is it? What is it? Both are same. So cut one thing. Save changes. Don't save. Cut. Okay. How many tabs are open, man? Cut the things. Okay, let's forget about there are many more things are open, many more tabs are open. So what I have previously done in that only I have to so that how it will work. Okay, no. Okay, how we created. Don't save. Don't save. Get. Okay, cancel. Okay, let's forget about this. We have to call this API. We have to call this API and check what whenever we hit this API. Whenever we hit this API that is provided by the Stripe payment system. Whenever we hit this API, a link will be provided by the Stripe API. Whenever we hit the API, the Stripe API system will process that API call, and it will return checkout session. In return checkout session, the Stripe API will provide a payment link. Stripe API will provide a link. In that link, the user will redirect the return checkout session client secret, and the user will redirect to okay. The user will be redirected to the Stripe checkout page is nothing but the Stripe hosted page like this. Stripe hosted page. It will be forwarded to the Stripe. Here is the perfect sequence diagram. Return checkout session, and in server only that request is forwarded to the Stripe checkout system. Redirect customer to URL from checkout session. The customer completes that. Here in the payments will be completed by the customer in Stripe checkout page only, in the hosted page, like in this page, in this type of page. The payment will be completed for Stripe checkout. Payment will be completed in Stripe. Means in Stripe platform only. You can complete the means user can complete the payment in Stripe system. That client is the payment is not done in the client system. The payment is going to be completed in the Stripe checkout session. In that Stripe checkout session, Stripe will return like this. In if you see in this figure, first checkout session created, and here the response with the hosted page link. Here the response is back to the hosted page link to that service. After that, it will automatically redirect the user to that page link. That link that is that page link for complete the payment in Stripe payment system. Here, like means where when checkout session will be created, a link will be coming back to the server. as a response. User will redirect to that redirect through this link to the Stripe payment system and completes their payment in the Stripe payment system in the Stripe platform. After that, user is redirected to the e-commerce client. User is redirected to the e-commerce client page. Then through the webhook, whenever we want to see the picture, customer completes payment. Customer is going to complete the payment in the Stripe system. After that, customer return to your application. Customer return to the client application, the e-commerce application. After that, the Stripe API will use the webhooks. Webhooks is a type of can call as APIs, but it will process the result based on some based on some events. It will return the value like we know that in that promise in JavaScript. Promise function always returns a result whenever the result is rejected. Whenever the promise like it promise always accepted a callback function. In that callback function, there are two methods you have to pass, either result or rejected. If the webhook is acting like work like a promise, like in JavaScript, if the payment is verified, if the payment is verified by the Stripe checkout system, then the confirmation will be sent to the server, and according to that, the payment will be happen, and the product will go to the shipped. The confirmation is done through the webhook. Stripe API will confirm the only through the webhook. The Stripe API will confirm that the payment is done, and after that the customer will be able to get to that which page? Get to that page that get to the next page, and in the next page they got the confirmation that your payment is done, and you can use this. You can get your product in how many days? That is the front end things. So here, to totally flow, how the confirmation is means how the checkout session is created and how the user make a payment through the system. So that is the complete flow of the system. And right now we can check checkout session. Whenever we call that create checkout session API, how it will work, how the URL is returning back, and how user redirect to the URL and completes his or her payment. So can test this whole process through the Postman. We got the endpoints, checkout session, create checkout session endpoints through where in the Stripe API system. You can copy this checkout session and put that into our Postman, and we make some changes that here mentioned, and is mentioned here. You have to make some changes, and we get response back as this object. You can get response back as this object. This object, if you see, this object contains the redirection link to the Stripe system to make the payment. This URL is coming back to the server, and user will redirect to that link, and through this link the user will able to make the payment in the Stripe system, and will return back to the e-commerce platform. So how it will work, you can check. So here is the here is the endpoint that we have to check to create a session. Whenever user clicks on the pay button after selecting the products, and the price is automatically calculated. After that, whenever user click the pay button, then this endpoint will be created. This endpoint will be invoked. This API will be invoked. And this API, when this API will be invoked, what happens? We have to see. Then we get a object as a response. Here we got the URL to which the user redirect and make the payment in the Stripe system. Here we got the URL in our integration system. Here, here, Stripe integration service. In Stripe integration service, you have to write the logic to extract the URL from that object. Here you get the object as a response. Here you get the full object as a response. Here we have to write all the fundamental logics, all the business logic. How, where I have to write. So here you have to write all the business logic, how to get that URL, and how the URL is, how the user, how the request, how this request is still redirect to that URL to the Stripe payment system. So if we check, suppose we have to copy this URL. Right now I'm doing it manually. Because you have to write the logic in this payment services, this Stripe integration service to fetch the URL from that object. We have to write some logic for that to fetch the URL from that object, and after that for the given request, the request is mapped to that URL, and the request is forwarded to, and the user is forwarded to the Stripe payment system hosted page. In that hosted page, if we see where it has gone, this link, user is redirected to this link, and we have copied that link. And if user is redirected to this link, then what will happen? We have to see. Here it shows iPhone 2,40,000, quantity 3. Here I already mentioned how should be the, here I manually mentioned that line items quantity. Line items, it will be stored like a 2D array, 0th index, and quantity will be 3. Here I explicitly mentioned, if you can mention like 4, it will work. Mode payment, successful, leave that things. Success URL, you can put any type of success URL for the reference purpose. Here previously it was example.com success. Here I just put amazon.com success. You can put anything. Flipkart.com success, and line item 0 for 0th index. It is 2D 3 for line item 0. Price data and currency. Price data, in price data, currency will be INR. I have to mention that. In item 0, price data, product data, we have to mention something like iPhone. This logic will be written in the checkout session. You have to write the logic in checkout session. What was the product, and according to that product, the mapping will happen in that systems. Mapping will happen with these values. You have to write the logic in this area for that. So right now I have to just check the manually how things work. So because of instead of iPhone, if I put suppose Samsung. I don't know, Samsung not. Suppose I put here, I have to put here the things will be put like in Pesa, in cents you have to put here 01 80,000. After that 20 will be there. So we have to put it in cents, and it will count and calculate as rupees. Suppose 80,000. I have to put like 1 0 1 lakh. Suppose 1 lakh. I put 1 lakh, and suppose what will I order? Suppose not 1 lakh. We will give 1 lakh. So 50,000 for suppose Sony TV. So for that the quantity will be 4, and we have to save. Again we have to call, because previously again we have to call the checkout session. Let's see what will be the, okay, we got the object, and from that we retrieve the URL, provide the logic to retrieve the URL. We got the URL, and we have to put the URL here, put the URL here, put the URL here, and let's see. Sony TV 2 lakh, because each having 50,000 and quantity we are mentioning that 4. So for that it will show that 2 lakhs. For that you have to put an email, and after that card number will be like, you have to check the card numbers here also. You have to get the card numbers here also. You can check demo cards from any internet sources and CVC like anything. Put card holder name like anything, and country is in India, and pay. No thanks. Card is not supported. Okay. Card confirmation, you have to check that what will be the cards you have to mention. Payment. Let's go to utilization and payment link. Just cards na. Documents and the cards. Yeah. Find anything. Cards. The card object linear cards is payment methods. Cards you can store multiple cards in the customer cards start payment. So cards and payment flow, card details, demo card details. Okay, it's getting slow. How many times it will go? It's 37. Okay. Last thing is to do the last thing. Okay. Why it will not work like. Okay. For testing, uh, dummy card details online to check test card number strike documentation. Yeah, it's showing in the first page. Okay, test mode configure reduce work properly sound visual hello test mode successful payment card man country. How to use test cards. Okay. Okay. Here the card is details is given. And okay. What man? Test card. Copy that thing. Search it in another browser. Search it in another browser. Let's see what happens. Okay. Here. These are the card details they are shown. You have to take one card details and we have to put here. In checkout we have to put here card details, and that's all. After After that, you have to make a payment. No thanks. Processing. After processing, it will redirect to flipkart.com success. Here, unfortunately, the page you are looking for has been removed because we want to access the flipkart.com success. It will be not possible. So we redirect as our requirement. We redirect to the our e-commerce application. After making the payment, we can back to the e-commerce platform. Here I mention flipkart.com. That's why it's written back to flipkart.com. Flipkart.com success. So it is returning back to the flipkart.com. So if you here we can mention our e-commerce client URL. So it will be redirect to that page where user can book his product and it will be delivered to him or her. So like this, the endpoints will work. And after that, the user is redirected to the e-commerce client. After that, through the webhooks, the Stripe payment system will confirm the server, will confirm our server, the payment is actually done or not. It will take some time because for payment processing, it will take some time. Suppose webhooks, what are the needs of webhooks? Suppose user made a payment. After user making a payment, suppose there are some bugs will happen. Nothing bugs. Suppose the internet is gone and the connection will interrupted. Then the payment is done. Here the Stripe payment system knows that the payment is done by the customer. It will process that the payment is done or not. Yes, the payment is done. Whenever the payment is done, it will invoke the webhook and it will inform the server that payment is done. After that, the server will respond back to the e-commerce client. After that, the user can able to buy his product or fetch his product or dispatch his product. Like that, the whole payment integration system work. Here in this video, we discuss how the checkout session will be created, how the user is redirected to the Stripe payment system, how the checkout session is created, and how the URL is coming back to the session, coming back to our server, and from that server, how the user is redirected through the URL to the Stripe payment system and make the payment there, and after that, the user coming back to the e-commerce client and continuing there further transactions. So in this video, we have see that how payment integration system and how Stripe payment system and checkout system will work. So that's all for this video. And this sequence diagram is clear the idea about all the things. User send order confirmation. After that, create checkout session. Server is create the checkout session by calling the API, which is provided by the Stripe API. Checkout session. The server is calling the API, which is provided by the Stripe API to create the session. After that, the Stripe API will provide a session object. In that session object, there is a URL is embedded in that session object. Through this URL, the server, you have to write the logic for that to extract the URL from that object and mention that request and map that request. There are some web APIs, the controller, by using controller, we have to map the API, map that request by post requesting, by get requesting, by post requesting, to map the API, map the request with this URL, and then the request is that the URL, then the customer is forwarded to the Stripe checkout system, and here customer completes payment. After that, customer return to your application. Customer return back to the user application, e-commerce application, and here Stripe is confirming the and handle fulfillment means the payment is done or not. By through webhook, it will confirm to the server that payment is actually done or not. After that, the user can continue with the further execution and further transactions in the app, in the e-commerce app. Like this, whole things work. The session will be created, how the session created, and how the things work in backend. So that's all for the video. So